I think the candidates are very aware that they need to include religious folks as a part of their support base, or they're not going to get elected. And so many of them are reaching out, but I don't think it's insincere. I mean, I don't count this as simply I'm not cynical about it and saying, well, if it weren't for politics, they wouldn't be paying attention. I think on the Democratic side, they now have the liberty to talk about their personal faith, and they just didn't feel that before, I think. On the Republican side, it's been included before, but now they understand that, especially, again, from my end of the Christian family, the evangelicals, there needs to be a direct engagement about the things that we think are important. So I think it's a very vital part of this year's election. I think it's very important for us to realize, no matter who is elected, the responsibility is still ours to go on with the conversation, to be of assistance as we can to government, or in addition to government, to solve the problems that we really care about in this country. So in a way, we want to be a part of the election. We want our values and our voice to be heard, but in the more important way, we don't want to abdicate responsibility to the government. It's not the government's responsibility to solve all the problems of this society. That's the responsibility of the citizens. And so, as a pastor, what I think is important is I want to get my people involved in the political system so that after the elections, they'll still be involved in the community. The temptation of power. Boy, it is a siren call, and it's easy to forget that your responsibility is not to try to remake the world in a political sense. It's easy to forget that you can't accomplish spiritual ends by political means. So it's easy to forget your very first love, and that is to convey the love of God to people and make their lives better directly, rather than trying to go through political systems to do it. There's a whole new generation of young evangelicals that are coming up that really don't care about any of the labels. I mean, they could care less. Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, they don't care. What they care about is, can we change the world for the better? Our concern is that the media has kind of bought into the stereotype that evangelicals are only Republicans, they're only conservatives, and they're only interested in one party that has a very narrow agenda. And so, following up on that, what we saw in the primaries were that they were just interviewing people coming out of the Republican primaries to see whether or not they were evangelicals. They interviewed nobody coming out of the Democratic primaries to see whether or not they were evangelicals and why they had voted as they had because of their faith. And we thought, gosh, that's it in a nutshell. You know, we've kind of been painted into this corner. Jesus has never been about one party, and the moral values that we have are addressed by both parties, and so we just want to expand the perception of evangelicals to say they're not just white, they're not just conservative, they're not just rich, and they don't just care about converting people's souls, and they don't just care about two issues. We care about a lot of stuff because Jesus cared about a lot of stuff, and He cared about all people, and so we want to expand that beyond just the one party. Lots of evangelicals have been in the pocket of the Republican Party for way too long. What we're looking for is long-term leadership that we believe will do two things. It will unify the country, because there's such a polarization right now. That it's very difficult to make any progress for very important issues, because as soon as one party says something, the other party's against it. So elect somebody who can be somebody that both parties could trust. But the other thing is, also elect somebody who is going to reestablish this country as a servant leader in the world. Because as I travel all around the world, we are not looked upon with great admiration right now. And that's a shame, because God has given us a lot of gifts, and we could be of significant help if we have a humble attitude of wanting to serve people instead of wanting to just make our way the way. Religion should ask the moral questions. They shouldn't ask, is it effective? They should ask, is it right? They shouldn't ask, what groups is this going to help? They should ask, is this going to help everybody, not just my group?